For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod Driveline Components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
The number one source of friction in your engine is not what you think. Piston rings rubbing against the cylinder walls generate more friction than any other part of the engine. More friction and temperature means more wear and less horsepower. Fortunately, the team at Total Seal knows how to reduce friction and wear through innovative piston ring design. If it takes a piston, Total Seal can build a better ring.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio is back. That's right, we're getting ready for the NHRA New England Nationals. We are in the rear view mirror of Memorial Day weekend in America. Oh my goodness, I had a great Memorial Day. Hopefully you did as well. The Grand Prix of Monaco, the Indy 500, the Coke 600, of course, NHRA's Northeastern Division was in action out there at Maple Grove, and of course, the Mission Foods Drag Racing Series. We're headed to, the birthplace of our democracy, right? Where it all happened up there in New England. Beantown, going to be up there in Boston on Thursday and head up to Epping, New Hampshire. One of my favorite racetracks. It's an amazing place. It really is. It's like going into a time machine back in the day. You've got such great and passionate racing fans up there. They love it, and we love going there. And it's a small track. It's a tight confines, but you get up close and personal with everybody, and it is very amazing. Hopefully, if you are anywhere in the area, you're going to come out and enjoy the New England Nationals. It is really great. It's it's like the birthplace of Brian Loans. It's the place where he got started, and there's even a plaque on the wall where he used to sleep as a young man, in the tower, getting ready for a day of racing. The passion of drag racing is evident out there. Plus, there's some great food. There's great food, and it's beautiful. I can't wait to go there. On this show, we're going to hear from Antron Brown. Antron just picked up his 75th NHRA career win. 75 wins in the NHRA. That's a big deal. We're going to talk about every one of them on this show. Antron, what do you recall about your 33rd win? And we'll see what he says. And he's not going to remember anything, right? He's going to give me an Antron Brown reaction, but it's going to be great. Alan Reinhart, the voice of the NHRA, is out there driving from Maple Grove, Pennsylvania to Epping, New Hampshire, is where he's doing the ride. That is a heck of a ride, right through the belly of the beast, right? How's he getting it done? How is he going from Maple Grove, Pennsylvania to Epping, New Hampshire? We'll find out when Reinhart joins the show real soon. Of course, he won't be driving. He'll be pulled over. He'll be safe. It'll be great. But Antron is going to join us. We'll send Reinhart on his way when he wants to go, whatever the deal is. Before we get to all of that, and, I'm sure a lot of you guys are a little slow right after the holiday weekend. Not me, of course. I am totally 100% WFO as always. I would never be a little slow. But I do want to tell you about the people who make it possible for me to go WFO. You already heard a little bit about Total Seal piston rings, the leader in ring seal technology, and FTI performance transmissions and torque converters. Those guys are staples of the WFO universe and heavily involved with Project Pontiac. Also want to mention CWT Industries, balance machines, your balance machine in your machine shop that you work in, the balance machine in the machine shop that you own. It can work better, quicker, faster, make you more money. Go to CWTindustries.com to find out more information. Had Randy Neal on a couple of episodes ago. Just such amazing man. Check out CWTindustries.com. Our great friends at Phillips-Connect.com, Smart Trailer Technology, and our great friends at Bernie Speed Shop, BURNYZZ.com. Bernie's. Over 100,000 square feet. They got e-bikes. If you're looking for a frame-off restoration, you definitely want to check in with Josh Hart and the folks at Bernie. Great corporate culture, even if is it corporate even? It's like a family business. But everybody tells me Josh will come in and I'm going to make up something, but they'll do a push-up challenge. and the winner gets a bonus, right? Like, all right, let's do a push-up challenge today. Get everybody healthy. Let's do push-ups. Whoever can do 50 push-ups, you get, get a bonus. I don't want to put a number on it, because if I put a number on it, someone will be like, oh, that's too low, or that's too high, or there'll be some sort of problem. The bottom line is Josh Hart's got a beautiful business down there with a lot of great friends and loves drag racing. They do movie props, anything that can be on wheels. Bernie's does it. Check out their social media to find out more. BURNYZZ.com. Later on in the show, I'll tell you about samtech.edu. I'll tell you about Frank Hawley's drag racing school. And I'll tell you about Marvin Rodak, who kept me fueled all weekend long. 817-924-6821. And then, of course, there's Foggit. That's right. Gary Sinnett's brand. If you are a racer and you do not yet have multiple cans of Foggit all around your house, in your trailer, at the track, with your car, you're making a grave mistake. And I am the living proof. There was not a product like Foggit when I put the Project Pontiac away the first time. And I probably wasn't smart enough to use it, even if there was. But I can tell you, I will never make that mistake again. I will not make that mistake. All right, let's go out there to the side of the road. He is now on the side of the road, ladies and gentlemen. The side of the road. The voice, Alan Reinhart. What's up, AR? How are you?
Hey, Joe. I'm good. I'm like about 2 hours behind, but I'm good. Just cruising along.
Everybody wants to know what kind of rental car you have. Like, that's a very interesting thing to me. The rental car lottery. What did you get?
I got a Mustang convertible.
Oh, nice. Nice. That's not always available.
No, I actually, when I got to the lot, I walked out and there was a Grand Cherokee, and those things are pretty nice. And, knowing I was going to be in it for a while. So I walked over to the Grand Cherokee and I jumped in it, but it was a hybrid. And it's one of those that, when you turn it on, it doesn't turn on. Like, it's going to run on batteries and it's going to make a decision. I hate those things. They drive me crazy. I want the engine to be running. And so I got out of that. I grabbed my stuff out of the back and I walked. And the other side of it, I couldn't even see the Mustang when I got in the Grand Cherokee, but I walked around the other side of whatever was next to it. And it's like, oh, hey, looky there. So, Mustang convertible. And most of the weather up here has been very convertible conducive. So I've had the top down a couple of times, and I intend to do that even more this week.
Tremendous. No, that's great. That's great. So I had that similar experience with the 4xe Grand Cherokee is what we're talking about. This is a car show after all. And when it comes to a certain range of modern vehicles, I don't think there's too many people who get more experience than you do and that I do, because we're in rental cars all the time and we get to pick the rental car a lot. And I had an experience with the 4xe and when I went to Oklahoma to go to the Hike Museum. It was snowing and it was cold and I was afraid. And so I didn't take it. Recently, I got in one and had the experience that you had. Like, okay, I started it. It's not started. What do I do? It's not going. What's wrong? I think it was Charlotte that I had it. And then I figured out, oh, no, you just press the gas and it'll go. It doesn't turn on. There's no, I learned it. I lived with it for 4 days. I got used to it, but there is one thing that I don't like and that I would not like. You never roll free. There's no free rolling. You like in that Mustang, you can roll, like there's no rolling. There's always like that feeling of like the regeneration, I guess, of electricity on the brakes. Maybe not for us. Perfect for some people that don't think so deeply about their drive, and good for them. But I love the fact that you got the Mustang.
Yeah, well, I'm a Mustang guy and I'm a convertible guy, so it worked out pretty well. And, the fact that I was going to be in it and put quite a few miles on it, might as well get a good car. I've actually run across a couple, since we're completely off topic. Yeah. I've ran across a couple of things this year. Like, I got a Hyundai Palisade when I was out in Vegas. Okay. And I basically took it because it was either that or a minivan. And it's one of those, when you walk out and go, really, that's the choices. That's it. Yeah. And I thought, well, I guess that's better than a minivan, but that was a really nice car. I'm not an SUV guy, so I wouldn't buy one, but I would recommend one. If somebody says, it was comfortable, it was powerful, everything about it was good. I'm just not an SUV guy, but I really was impressed by that one. So yeah, that's one of the fun things about getting to spend all the time in the rental cars is, you get to learn all these new things.
You get to try them out and you get to learn them. I am an SUV guy generally. I'll take an SUV over most things. I got the we'll call them, sportier cars at home, or the transportation cars at home. But yeah, Palisade's a nice looking vehicle, and there's a lot of them out there that are, like every car nowadays is pretty comfortable and pretty nice and got all kinds of creature comforts. I had the Grand Wagoneer a couple of races ago. I was in like this giant ship, like the front of the
like
car.
A school bus.
It is. It's getting there like a minute before the back of the car gets there, et cetera, and so on. All right. So Antron Brown going to be joining us here a few minutes from now. We've already got a great audience. I ask everybody to retweet the show or repost on X, depending on what language you speak when it comes to Twitter or the company now known as X, formerly known as Twitter. But that's where so many people are watching these days. It's been pretty amazing. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell, share, comment. We'll give you our YouTube question of the week. I did question of the week for a while, and then I got away from it. It really makes a difference. Question of the week, YouTube question of the week. It is coming up. But 75 wins, Alan. That's a monster number. I remember when Bob Glidden got to 85, and that was a huge deal. Antron, 75 wins, combined motorcycle and top fuel. I don't take any points away from that. That it is what it is, right? This guy is genuinely, he's so young and youthful and energetic and positive. It's kind of hard to think of Antron as like this old legend, right? But he is one of our sport's greatest of all time, bar none. Antron Brown, you've seen his entire career from start till now. Just talk a little bit about what Antron Brown has done for the sport of drag racing.
Well, a lot, obviously. I mean, the first African-American champion, that obviously is a big deal. His personality is huge. He's so outgoing. He's so friendly. The fans just absolutely love him. But what I really like about Antron is the way he got started in the whole thing. He got started basically working as a crew guy. And on the motorcycle side of things, he was an athlete well before then. And, you look at Antron and he's been an athlete his whole life. He's just in great shape. But his desire to get on the motorcycle and do this stuff saved money. He went to George Bryce's school and got his pro stock motorcycle license. And while he was working on the motorcycle, something came up one time. They needed to go testing. They needed to go make some runs. They needed to do some stuff. And the guy that was riding the bike wasn't available. And he's talking to the team owner, and the guy's like, man, we just got to figure, I don't know what we're going to do. And Antron says, well, how about if I ride the thing? And the guy said, yeah, right. Like, you can ride a pro stock motorcycle. And he went, here's my license. And that is what got him on the bike originally. And then obviously his cousin helped him out when he started the team. But everybody that Antron has come in contact with, he's so positive and so outgoing. They're willing to help. They're willing to get involved. They're willing to get on board. And that's the reason that he's been so successful when he got the opportunity to make the move from the motorcycles to the top fuel cars. What do you have for experience? None. But here's my resume. And you go back, and I don't know that you can find someone in Antron's past that you call and say, what, would you recommend I get involved with this guy? And I think everybody he's ever met in his life is going to say, yeah, absolutely. You need to get involved with that guy. So that's a big part of his success.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Antron was always interesting to me because of the South Florida connection, right? Troy Vincent was drafted by the Miami Dolphins. That's his cousin. He was drafted by Don Shula and the Miami Dolphins. So Troy Vincent was always, he was a great player for the Dolphins. Later on, he went to Philly, but for the Dolphins, he was a great player. And he loved drag racing. And there was the connection with Daryl Gwynn. Antron stayed at Daryl's house. There was a whole South Florida connection to Antron. And when he came on the scene in pro stock motorcycle, just very energetic, positive. You could tell right away he was going to be a star. He went out there, he won races, but Top Fuel called, right? And it all worked out, and he goes out there and wins 3 championships. But this win, the most recent win, the Gerber Collision and Glass Route 66 Nationals, we're getting ready to go to New England, right? Final round against Sean Langdon. That was his first win since the big go last year, since winning Indy. And so they wanted to get one on the board, and they did.
Well, coming out of the box this year, the Coletta cars have been so strong, and they've really stepped up, kind of to the front of the field right now. Antron has been solid, but maybe not his championship self. And, getting that one into the winner's circle, it's good for everybody. Again, it's good for morale. It's good, the team knowing, yes, we can do this again. And the fact that he beat Sean Langdon in the final. And, it's not like he had a cakewalk through the day, right? It's not like, well, I beat Joe Castello first round and I beat Reinhart when his car wouldn't start. And he definitely fought his way through the day to make it happen. So, they've got a little bit of momentum now, and we're getting into the summer months where it's going to be a little bit more of, I think, tuner race and performance race. You know, when you can go out and say, okay, look, you're going to have to run 366 or 367 in order to win. That's a different mindset than when you're going to have to figure out a way to run 388 or 390 and survive. And, you know, it was definitely warm up there in Chicago. It was a little bit of a tricky racetrack. So to be able to get a handle on that is going to give them some momentum as we get into some more of these hot weather racetracks.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it. A lot of commenters out there on social. Kudos to Antron. This one, Monica, great job this past weekend at Maple Grove. While we're waiting for Antron, and let's get everybody to retweet the show, share the show, post on X. Let's get it going. Let's get a huge audience for AB out there. But tell us a little bit about the House of Chaos. What went down at Maple Grove? Monica says you did a great job this past weekend, Alan, at Maple Grove Raceway.
Oh, thank you, Monica. She's just saying that because it's true. No, you know, it's fun. The reason that I do the division races is because they're a lot of fun for me. And it should be in your the biggest thing that was the issue at Maple Grove was we ended up getting some weather on Saturday night, and Saturday night is kind of the big fan show. Joe, you're bleeding over.
Sorry, I'm talking to Antron Brown right now on the phone. You keep talking. My apologies. Go ahead, Alan.
Okay. No, that's okay. But Saturday night is their big fan show. They call it the Night of Chaos. They had jet cars coming in. They had fireworks to close out the evening. The way they run the program, and in most of Division I races and at Maple Grove, the alcohol cars qualified on Friday and then race on Saturday. And the plan was first round at 5 a.m., second round at 5 p.m., excuse me, first round at 5 p.m., second round at 7 p.m., final round at 9 p.m., and then jets and then fireworks and, you know, the Night of Chaos. And we had a pretty good fan turnout. You know, a lot of people came out to see the show and see the event, and then it ended up raining. So we got through the first round of alcohol, and about the time we were getting ready to run the second round of alcohol, it started raining, and they ended up having to pull the plug for the night. So that was the real big disappointment, was we just didn't get to do the Night of Chaos for all the fans. And then that made Sunday into a much longer day, since we basically started out 2.5 hours behind trying to catch up from Saturday night. But, you know, you're going to see when you go out to the racetrack again this year, or Joe, when you come back in September, you're going to see more improvements. You know, and Kenny's got big plans for, you know, the next step and the next step and the step after that. I had a chance to sit down and catch up with him for about an hour or so. So it was good to catch up with him. Saw Kyle, got to meet the new addition to the family. So, you know, they're going full speed ahead on the racetrack, and Kyle potentially could be back in the Pro Stock car before the end of the year, but that's not official yet.
Good. Have they put the footing in for the dome? Because that's what I'm really excited about. The Chaos Dome, House of Chaos, Chaos Dome. The rumors about them putting a dome over the top of Maple Grove Raceway. What do you know about that?
I think that's a couple of steps down the road. I don't think it's not going to happen by the time we get back there in September. Okay. Probably not going to happen by next year. But no, Kenny is again, you know, he's continuing to make improvements and got short-term plans, got long-term plans, but he's still very enthusiastic about being behind the racetrack and the things that they're going to do with it. So, you know, I hope Mother Nature is good to us again this year when we get back to September, because that place, you know, the fans around here are hardcore. All we need is good weather, and we'll have a great event.
Exactly. And thank you for stalling for time while I was connecting with Antron out there. Apologies for not turning off my microphone. Look, no Sean, problem. the What No Way guy is out there watching us. This guy's got a bigger social media following than like the entire sport of drag racing, but he's doing his best to help us out. What's up, Sean? How are you? Good to see you. He's working on a Chevelle. He's got a 4-door Chevelle. He was
in Chicago. I don't know if you saw him there or not, but yeah, he was in Chicago. He was hanging out. He's the one, I think he might have been the first one to officially break the news of the Leah Stewart Racing branch of Tony Stewart Racing. You know, she's kind of, you know, like, you know, you go do your thing. I think she's just like so antsy about getting back in the car, she decided she's going to do it herself, whether Tony likes it or not. I'm making that up, by the way. That is completely like out of
that is a lie. That is a lie. Chaos Dome. Totally true. All right, let's bring him on. He is the guest of honor. He won his 75th NHRA National event win. He joins us now. Antron Brown, What's up, Antron? How are you?
I'm doing good, Joe. I just got back from this weekend racing with the sun, man. We were racing in Byron, Illinois up there, man. And they had 3 10-granders. We got rained out one day, and we did all right, man. He made it to the 5th round on Saturday. Sunday, we got rained out, and he made it to the 7th round on Monday, yesterday, where we made it down to 4 cars. So he's putting the work in, man, and we're having a blast doing it, man. It was really cool to go out there with him and race and have some fun with the family, man, out there.
Nice.
When are you going to get in one of those, Antron?
Yeah, that's what we want to know.
I'm building another one right now. I just gotta have time to put it together. It's for my daughter. Ariana, but she only will be able to make half the races, and the other races I'm gonna race out there with them because Langdon's out there having too much fun, man. I'm out there when I go out there with Sean. We're all out there racing together. All those people have way too much fun. I got another buddy of mine. He races with his son Dominic. Races with his son Braden. He made it down to 4 cars in that shootout, the 100,000 shootout race in Beach Bend a few weeks ago, and he picked up over 30 grand. So it's intense out there, man. We have a lot of fun, but it's a lot of money out there. But the racers are no joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, tell me about it. Yeah, let's go big money bracket racing together. But you can win a lot of money. That's a fact. You can win a lot of money. You gotta get a little lucky. To me, I look at it like Texas Hold'em poker was a few years back, where they started putting it on television and people realized, like, hey man, I can just enter something and I got a chance to win like hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars. The answer is yeah, bracket racing. Go build yourself a bracket race car and make it consistent and learn how to drive. And you could win hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's just, you got to catch a little luck, and it's got to be your day, and you got to know what to do in that moment, which, you guys already know how to do it.
Oh man, I tell you one thing is that they are fierce out there. Like what I'm talking about, Anson, it was funny in the 4th round we lost. I messed up when dialing the car a little bit because I saw the weather come in where it got really dark and cloudy. The track got cool. They prepped the track. I said, oh, we're going to pick up a number because the track's going to be better. It's going to probably go a little bit better, 60 foot. That's normally what it does. When the track gets better, his car goes faster. But we were running so many laps, and I got to remember and remind myself, when you run that many laps and the transmission's got that temperature to it, it just stays the same because the converter's loose. Everything's like loose. It's not going to pick up because it's not tight. You know what I mean? So his car went out there and ran the exact same ET it did the round before. And I was kicking myself in the butt. He lost by, I forget what he lost by 4 thousandths or something like that. And I just looked at it. I said, man, if I just left that 44 on the car, he would have ran dead on with a 4 with 11,000 light. No, the guy was still won by thousands, I think, or something like that. But it's just, he's having 8,000, 10,000 packages, and he's just beating people that have 12,000 packages, or it's vice versa back way. And it was pretty cool. We still had double entries. We had both entries in the 4th round, and we were like the last car that had both entries left. So he was running some laps, and we're gaining some knowledge and just learning the craft, man. Different ways to race, different ways to do this, different ways to do that, different drop points. Do this, do that, the way you stage. This guy staging the car like this. The guy one flickers the bulb and unflickers it by steering the steering wheel. And you've seen all these people play all these poker games, man, poker and chess games. And the funniest part is all we do is come out there and play in checkers. All we know how to do is
But you can win like that, though.
The amazing thing about those brackets.
Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, the amazing thing about those races, though, is like you almost never win or lose by 200ths of a second. I mean, it always comes down to those little bitty numbers. And Antron, when's the last time, or have you ever driven the stripe?
I did. I actually, I did it this year, Alan. I did it this year when I went to the TMB promotion race. I got in Anson's car because we changed the rear gears in it, and he was still in college, and he couldn't get there until Thursday. And I was there Wednesday racing. He got there Thursday night, and I raced the race on Thursday in his car. And everybody, let me tell you something, man. I bought back, and I got put on the trailer, and I won like one round of racing, And let me tell you how cutthroat it was at that race. I ran dead on my dial by 5 thousandths, dead on. And I cut a 003 light, and I still lost.
Yeah.
I still lost.
You got to try harder. You see, the thing is, you're not trying hard enough, Antron.
I was 003, Joe. I had an 8 thou package, and I lost. The other guy was 003.
Antron, you got to tighten. You got to tighten that stuff up. I mean, you just, if you're going to leave the door that far open, everybody can walk through that. Heck, Joe could beat you with the Pontiac. I mean, come on. You can't.
Yeah. And I wish I could have that every round. If I had that every round, you could go a lot of rounds. But that guy was just better than me that round at the end of the deal. You know what he told me at the end of the track? I got over, I said, man, I looked at the time slip. He looked at the time slip, looked over and smiled at me. I looked over at him, I said, good race. And he goes, well, I have to step my game up because I was racing Antron Brown. I said, look, I'm a rookie at this. I race straight line, all out, first to the finish line. And then Alan, I lost another race where I was carrying a couple numbers and I had to get rid of them. And I didn't get rid of all of it because I caught the guy. I was coming up on him, Alan and Joe, and I was coming up on him. And my son told me after the fact, because he wasn't there yet, he goes, well, Dad, when you're coming up on him, you got to start like letting off before you even, like when you're like halfway through him, you got to let off. You don't have enough time to get around him and let off. And I didn't know that. So what I did was try to get near the front and then I let off and I broke out by 3 thousandths of a second. And I had a 005 light and that guy had like a 012 light and he left me room because he ran a whole number off his dial. And I'm just like, I'm like, that's how tight it is. But I got cracked every which way. But the cool part is, once I get this other car done, I'm coming back to get my cracks back. Trust me.
All right.
He's not done yet.
All right. You think you've been beaten every which way, but there is another one, I'm sure. But hey, 75 NHRA national event wins. That's why you're here. You got your 50th number one at New England Nationals last year. You just spent a little time on a media tour in Thunder Valley, where we're going next weekend, not this coming weekend, the following weekend, as we do a little back-to-back action. So there's a whole lot to talk about. But you mentioned, let's look back a little bit at Chicago, just because, Jasmine, Justin, Steve, and Sean en route to victory. Reinhart was just talking about how it was not an easy road. Pick it up wherever you want and just kind of summarize the race weekend. One that Brian told me on the starting line, first round, he's like, we got to get a win. And I loved his attitude, and you guys went and got it done.
Yeah, the thing about it is we ran good at the pro shootout this year. We ran good at a lot of races this year. We qualified well a lot of races this year, and just trying to put together a race day. And we won the Pep Boys shootout against Brittany. We've been winning things, but we haven't been winning races. You know what I mean? Like the regular races. And we won one of those Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge. And when we came in that weekend in Chicago had a lot riding on it for us. And all the things going on with Don Schumacher Memorial and also one of our crew members losing their father, like right before the race. And there were so many emotions all around. And that weekend is like, we never quit. We never give up, no matter where we qualified. Just like last year, U.S. Nationals, we qualified 15th and we still pulled it off. It's just, you never quit. We're a non-quitting team. And when we got there.
Is that a battery? Someone's battery going dead? Some sort of.
No, that was, I just shut the car off and it was asking me if I wanted to do this and that. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
It's okay.
And all I could tell you is that when we got in there, that first round eliminations, we had our whole, like our MSD points box took a dump on us. We were only had one half our ignition when we ran Jasmine first round. So we were like sitting ducks. Like we only went down there with like one spark plug in every hole lighting up. So we're lucky that it went that far down the racetrack and went that ET. And then we came back, we replaced all that. Then we come back out and the next two runs, like we raced Justin, They smoked them on the starting line. We were trying to run a mid-80s, what we were trying to run. That's what we were shooting for. And we ran at 89, and our car dropped the hole like 150 or 200 feet out, and it ran at 89. So with that not being said, I mean, you don't know what could happen. We could have smoked the tires if we had too much power. Don't know. But it shouldn't have. We should have went out there and ran like we ran in the final. We should have ran like 85, 84, somewhere in that range is what we're shooting for. And then it did the exact same thing against Steve-O. And then, Brian and Mark, they made adjustments, and Brad, they made adjustments on the car. And then when we get to that final, we're like, all right, we got to put it all together. Like, you know what I mean? We got to make a move. And Brian made a move. He made a big move, and him and Mark were on it. And then Brad and him were looking at different things. All the guys were checking things back and forth. And we took the engine. We had to take the engine out the car because it was nothing wrong with the short block that we had in it, but it actually broke one of the studs on the front plate on it. And we didn't have time to take that stud out and replace it. So we just needed to change short blocks. So we just changed short blocks. And then we got into final, and we knew Langdon, well, first it blew our mind was at the big end of track, and it said that he ran a 76. We're like, what? And I'm like, that track must be good. And I'm like, man, I don't know if he ran a 76. And we know the clock's been having issues throughout the weekend on the starting line with the 60 foots, because we saw some of those in qualifying where some people had like 830, 60 foots in the heat. And we're like, that had to be off. And we looked at the time, somebody saw he had an 80 60 foot. We're like, all right, he probably like an 85, 60 foot. So you put it on there and you put the numbers in there. He should have ran like an 83, somewhere like an 83. And it still was a phenomenal run. It wasn't like it was a bad run. You get what I mean? So we knew we had our work cut out for us. And then when we went in that final, we tuned it up to try to run an 83, 82, and it ran a high 83. And it was enough to get the job done. Langdon got the half track. And then, the way we're not pulling on the motors as hard, our cars don't have load, just like I did all the rounds before he dropped the hole. And that's the trickiest part when you run the heat like that, is to keep all those pipes lit because you're not pulling on it as hard. So that was a great win. And getting off the tree, going down the racetrack, and putting in the winner's circle the first time this year, the 6th race in, it felt really, really good, and it gave us a boost in the points. And we got some momentum going into Epping this weekend.
Alan?
Antron, you got to be feeling pretty good about that because of the weather and track conditions you had to deal with. Now, as we are getting ready to start into the summer months where you're going to have to be dealing with some of those hot conditions and hot, greasy racetracks, how big is that winning in those conditions now that we're getting ready to really fire off into the summer?
Al, I mean, you hit it right on the head. It gives you that confidence to go into these hot tracks. And normally we always get in the heat. We always used to be able to always run good in the heat, but now getting our new setup that we've been working on for the last 2 years to really fine tune it where it goes A to B and the car is super smooth. It drives really, really good. I mean, they've been giving me a heck of a race car, and the race car has definitely turned the corner. And to go in these next races is going to be huge, because this is going to build up where you're going to be at in that countdown for a championship. And we want to go in it and win the top 3 cars. It just gives you more to get there. And we want to start trying to pick up on some of those little quality bonus points, being the fastest around or the top 3 of each round. All those little points add up so much at the end is ridiculous. And also the mission Too Fast, Too Tasty. Like, we've been in almost every one now. And those points add up if you win. You know what I mean? You got to win or get runner up. And that's our game plan right now. We got to go after everything that's out there. And the more laps we get, the better it makes us. It makes us better. Like that whole weekend there, we got better with the car. I got better driving the car. The more laps I get, the more time I see the tree. I was literally 50 flat, shallow stage in the final there. You know what I mean? And I even left on Justin Ashley one lap. Not the lap that we raced on race day, but I think in the mission Too Fast, Too Tasty, I left on him. I left on him a couple times this year. So the good part is that the more laps I get, the better I can get. And Justin's definitely the bar on the tree right now. And that's where I used to be. And I just want to get back there.
Brutal out there. It's brutal. Like bracket racing, talking about how competitive it is. Top Fuel has gotten to the point. There are so many teams that they're now the Coletta Motorsports has gotten to where we all knew they were going. They got 2 cars out there that can take you out. Justin is in a car that is amazing. Steve O is, fighting his way back. I was thinking about Steve, honestly, the other day, that 6 in a row countdown, the perfect countdown that he pulled off. Like, that's like unfathomable. I can't even imagine it now. Going back to the 4 championships in a row era, the competitiveness that we're seeing right now in Top Fuel, like, we're never going to see that again, right?
No, I mean, if you do something like that, you definitely get spectacular. And Steve-O, when he did it, you got to have some luck too. His car was super, super good. And when he was vulnerable, people just messed up where he red lighted or took off the starting line where he smoked the tires and he got those wins. But what he did and that team did over that span of the time is probably one of the greatest dynasties. Like, because he also did it when the class was still competitive. I ain't talking about the back in the days where you had like 2 cars or 4 good cars that can win on a weekend, but you had 2 cars that were dominant racing each other for a championship. That's how Top Fuel was when I first got into it. You know what I mean? Like you go, all right, man, if I don't mess up first round, I should get to the second round. If I get to the second round, I have a little tough competition, but if I do my deal, I'll get right to the semis. Now you get to semis, you're like, all right, man, I got somebody now. You get what I mean? That's how it used to be. Now, brother, you can qualify number 1 and number 16 is going to take you out. Al, what race was that, Alan, this year where like all the cars, like number 1 qualifier was like a 68 and then number 14 qualifier was like a 72.9. Because I remember I was number 4 with a 71.9 or something like. No, it was number 4 with a 71. No, a 70 with a 9. I was number 4 with a 70 with a 9, and number 14 was a 72.9.
Yeah, I'm trying to out of Phoenix or Vegas. It was one of the West Coast races out there where we had 4 really good qualifying sessions where the weather was the same all across, and everybody just got really comfortable with the deal. But I mean, you look at last week, right? When Brittany Force doesn't qualify, that's huge. Yes. When you look at Tony Stewart's the number 16 qualifier. That's a car that finished 3rd last year. It was 1 run from winning the championship last year, and that's just the way it is. But Antron, you've also been there. You were talking about the role that Steve got on. When you are running good, when you are winning races, when you are the man out there in the category, you win some of those intimidation races.
Yes.
If somebody comes up and goes, man, this guy's won 3 of the last 4. Okay, now I'm going to have to try to do something out of my comfort zone to even have a chance. And that's where they end up smoking the tires. They end up red lighting. They end up letting you get away with. John Force for years had such an intimidating car. I'll never forget. He won a race in Phoenix one time where the quickest run he made in all 4 rounds was like 8:50. But everybody he raced just went up there and shorted out and gave it to him.
Yep.
And the intimidation factor, when you're running like that, you are going to get some of those races. The key, obviously, is to get your car in that position so you can start intimidating those guys.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it is that you are spot on that, AR, is people do get intimidated. It's like going in the ring with Mike Tyson. You just trying to last for 30 seconds, brother, right? So Steve-O definitely had that factor. Tony Schumacher had that factor with Alan Johnson back in the day. And then we had that factor for a little bit. We had that factor for like 5 years. And it goes in spurts like that. And then you try to get it back. You know what I mean? And right now, everybody's intimidating when you race in this class because you go up there like, well, you got to run the track and hold. You can't go up here and say, I'm just going to do a safe run and lay up. And then you can't go up there now because before everybody used to be laid on a tree. Well, obviously everybody's doing their work to be good on a tree. So now a lot of people are putting the full packages together because you have to win. You literally have to win. Like you can't go up there and say, well, I got a great car now. I can be 80 on a tree. I'm just going to run you down past you. Them days are gone. Only way you're passing if something happens. So for us, our main thing is we're going to maximize what we can get on the track, and I'm going to maximize on what I can do on a tree. And then the main thing is how consistent can you do that each and every round? can you bring that every round without something going wrong? And I'm gonna be honest with you, this is probably one of the best teams I ever had. Like crew guy wise, the way my guys get along together, the way they communicate, they go eat dinner together every night. And when I see that happening, that makes me feel so much better, and it makes the crew chiefs feel at ease because they can go, "Hey man, I'm messing this, change this." And the guys go, "Okay, we got it." You ain't got no guy go, "Oh man, we got to change that." Like attitude is everything, and we have some unique and special right now at ABM, and it puts a smile on my face because I like what the future brings.
Antron, 75 wins. You're a student of the sport. Before you signed on, Alan and I were talking a little bit about your origin story, and we've gone over it in the past, about Troy Vincent and how, Don Shula drafted him. And so I paid attention to him, and I love drag racing. And so that got me paying attention to you and just your connection with Darryl Gwynn and all of those different angles of your origin story. 75 wins. That's a huge number. Pro Stock Motorcycle and Top Fuel together, and you're not stopping at 75. But when they handed you that placard down there on the top end that, it's on the road for people who get to that milestone, what did it mean to you to realize like that is a huge number? So few have gotten to hold that sign.
Man, Joe, I haven't thought about it, man. Like I looked at it and I seen it, and it's a true blessing. I've been very fortunate with all the people that has helped me along this road, and all my heroes and mentor of the sport. And one thing that people never hear about no more, but he was a crucial role. Like, Troy introduced us, but he was the professor of racing of details and a numbers guy, which was Dave Schultz. And Dave was very, very methodical in what he did. And what I learned from him, people don't know this. Before I raced Pro Stock motorcycle, I had to spend a year with Dave Schultz building my Pro Stock motorcycle. I just didn't hop on a motorcycle and come out to a racetrack. And he literally sat there and told me, if I don't know what every bolt and every piece on this motorcycle, what it does, I will never ride that bike to the potential that I should. Because if you understand everything that's on that vehicle, it'll actually give you a whole different understanding what's happening as it's going down the racetrack. And every vehicle that I have ever driven or rode, I took that same mindset to it. Before I ever got a Top Fuel car, I scanned them up and down. I watched them for years and go up in the lounge and look at the runs on the race pack and see what it does, how it does. And before I even drove the car, I already knew what it was going to do. I knew what tire shape looked like and what it should. I had a mind that what it should feel like, or what tire spin feel like, and what you should do. And when it happened, it was like I already knew it. Like I already lived it because I looked at it the whole way and I studied it like a deal. So for me, my learning curve is always different, I think, from other people because of that deal that I learned. And then Darryl Gwynn, the same thing. Him and his dad, Jerry, was very instrumental because that's where I learned how to weld and fabricate. We broke our Pro Stock bike chassis, and my old crew chief, Mark Pizer, when I was down there, and Mark knew how to weld, and they showed me how to do all that. That's why I first learned how to work on the lathe, on the mill, making bushings for the rear wheel, doing this and doing that, just like doing things. Like they showed me, like I learned all this stuff through experience. I went to a school that you couldn't pay for. So for me, that's what really helped me in my career is learning all that stuff to where I'm at now. And then when doing this whole business deal of of owning this race team is that I've drove the truck. I set the awning up. I rolled the flooring out. I used to put the engines in my Pro Stock bike. I helped them put the engines in the Top Fuel car. I can help them wire the Top Fuel car. I can wire the bike. I machine the bike. I could weld on the bike. I could do this. I could do that. Mount bodies, fabricate air boxes. I mean, all that stuff I did. And there's a lot of stuff that people never knew. And they always thought that, he just drives or he just rides. No, like my hands are all messed up. Look at all the scratches and scars on them jokers. That's from working on stuff, and because that's what I do. And I'm just intrigued by it. And it pushes me to be better each and every time. And that's why when I show up on race day, I don't miss too many things on race day too many times. I'm usually on point most of the time because I want to win and I know how much work it goes in to get there. And I don't want to let that slip. So for me, I want to show up. I try to show up 100% of the time, but I guarantee you're going to get me 98% of the time.
Alan?
Antron, you went back and kind of relived some of that, where you got started. When we started this, you went through blow by blow. Don't worry, they're not coming for me. About your 75th win. Do you remember your first win on the Pro Stock motorcycle?
Yes, I do. 1999, Dallas at the Motorplex, Texas. And I remember that race because that year distinctly, Alan, we switched to Vance and Hines horsepower from Cope horsepower the year before. And that's the first year we had Vance and Hines. And we had horsepower now, where I used to qualify like 6th to 10th. And then I started qualifying in the top 4. And them jokers, like, this joker's got power now. And he can leave on the start line. And every person I race red lighted against me. How's that for a memory?
I was wondering if you'd remember that.
Oh, I do. And I laugh at it to this day because I remember back then in the final and everything else, like I went through Matt Hines and I had Angel in the final and everybody red lighted against me. And I'm just looking at it, I'm just like, man, like the difference of it is before they could leave with their normal 40 or 50 light and run me down and pass me on the big end. Well, now I'm cutting double O's and I could run within 200s of them. So they can't cut that 50 light no more. They got to cut like a 20 or better. And when they started trying to cut them 20 lights or better, every single one of them, boom, red, boom, red. I was like, everybody red lighting against me. And then that was like a cool feeling right there because when we got that first win, it was like that was my whole dream that came true. I'm like, I just wanted to have an NHRA Wally is what I wanted. And I got one. And I'm like, I got one. This is what I live for. And this is what I work so hard for. And I finally got one. And I never knew how many I'll win. I'm just like, man, if I could get like 5 of them. Like, I mean, people have went their whole career without winning one race.
Yep.
So when I look at that one, I'm just like, man, I did it. And now I look around me, like I'm in my office, I got 6 of them sitting on the desk because I like it's bad where I got to rearrange my shelves because I ain't got no more room for them out there in the other shop. And I got to rearrange them where I can put 5 on one shelf, which we're doing. And then I can have room for more. But it's crazy how far we've came in all the years. And I think our key to success was that we've always stayed humble as a team, and we always stayed hungry. I'm always hungry, and I'm super competitive. And once I go to the next race, my visions are locked on that and what we can get out of it. What can we do here? And I think that's what's really driven me over all these years. And I got so much more fuel left in the tank that I'm all in. I'm all in now. So it's the challenge is up there. The class is super competitive. It's probably the most competitive it's ever been in the history of the sport, period. And if you win now, you're doing something really, really special. So Sean's got 2 of them up there already. Dougie's got 1. I mean, Justin's got some. I mean, you got all these different people that's got some wins already this year, and that tells you how crazy this class is. And we just want to be a part of it.
Antron, let's look towards New England. This past weekend, you know, I want to ask you about the ownership deal, but you can wrap it into the New England conversation as well. We could keep you all day, you know that. Among the 3 of us, we could probably talk all day too. But I'm thinking about Roger Penske winning 20 Indy 500s, and I think about Roger Penske, and I think our sport, you know, like Don Schumacher was in many ways our Roger Penske, and we've lost him now, but he has sent his, you know, young, inspired drivers out to carry the ball. And that's you, that's Caps. And maybe there will be others, you know, Antron Brown Motorsports as an entity. You're winning races. But how's that going? The Angel storyline. Someone asked in the comment section, you posted the video about pouring the seat, 2 cars, expanding. If you could talk a little bit about that. And then as we get ready to go to New England, a great classic racetrack where we know it's going to be packed.
Yeah, from the Don standpoint on your first question, is that he left the legacy behind. He's instilled a lot of things in all the drivers that he had. And Don did it top notch. He did it his way. And he did it in a big, big way. You know what I mean? I'll be honest with you. I never want to have 8 teams. Never want to have 4 teams. I wouldn't mind having 2 or 3 teams. 2 would be the perfect number. I always wanted to have like a funny car and a dragster. It's always been the game. You know what I mean? And maybe do some other stuff down the road too. Maybe have like a Pro Mod car or something like that too down the road or something like that. We got to get them TRD boys to step that program up. But the thing about it is those are things that I just enjoy the sport and always wanted to do it and to elevate it. And when you have different people that have that same passion or a same level of commitment that wants to work, you know what I mean? That wants to put the work, wants to put the time in. And that's where the Angel deal came in. You know what I mean? And I just wanted her to experience something different because she still wanted to race pro stock motorcycle. And she had a good run there. She had a good time there. But I just wanted to try something different. So if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you're good. Retire, do what you want to do. But you need to try this before you hang up your race career and say, I want to go into commentating or doing other things like that, or being a spokesperson or representative like she is for Mission Foods. And when she got in, it changed her whole perspective. It gave her a whole new way of life where she's in it. She's in it. And then right now with me with the AB Accelerate program, I see all the other young Inspire ones, like my son Anson is a part of that. We got Sean Reed that's a part of it, that we're helping him in Top Fuel, and you seeing him grow. His car went from just qualifying where he's winning rounds now, and he has a car that's highly competitive, where it feels good to be a part of that to help elevate the sport. And when I look at my son, he makes me so proud, because when he won that $75,000 race last year, you don't get too many calls from like people like Richard Freeman who wants to put him in a pro stock car today. I said, Richard, man, that boy's got to finish college first, man. He could do it. What you want to do? Now I became my son's agent. You know what I mean? So that's the cool part about it, is seeing all that stuff and being a part of it and seeing other people in the sportsman ranks. And we got Grace Rowe. She's out of Ohio. She raced like a super pro dragster. Seeing her, the way she carries, the way she does social media. She does stuff for Lucas Oil too. And I'm seeing all these different people that we became a part of, where they put the AB Accelerate program decals on their stuff. And it makes you feel like, all right, well, we're that extra hand to accelerate people to help them get to where they want to be at. And I had that. I was very fortunate to have that with Troy Vincent. Troy Vincent really helped me along the way. And then I was with David Powers, who elevated me like that. And one person that's really gave me really pushed me too was Mike Ashley, when he owned our team for a year. The most positive person I ever saw in drag racing, and will things and make you believe things and you make them happen. And then working for Don Schumacher over all those years and winning those championships, where he was relentless in his work ethic. Like, he never stopped. Never stopped. He goes, Antron, I might not be the smartest, I might not be the brightest, but one thing I can tell you is that I'm going to work 24 hours to make it happen. And I will get there. And that's what he done. And I've been around all these different individuals and was able to see the things that they did so well and kind of try to combine them together. And for me, I think one of my strengths is people. You got to surround yourself by the right people. And everybody has their strengths. Everybody has their weaknesses, but the one helps out where the other one's weak, and you can make something that's incredibly strong and powerful. And I believe I have that at AB Motorsports, without a doubt. We have a lot of strong people.
Oh, Reinhart is back. We had lost Reinhart, but Reinhart is now back. Alan, final question for Antron.
Well, I'm just curious, Antron, and I missed some of what you did, but I just caught the last. You said everybody's got their strengths and everybody has their weaknesses. Do you have a weakness? Because I can't see one.
Alan, maybe I think one of my weaknesses, I don't never shut it off. I'm on 24/7 and I don't stop. I think sometimes I need to tell myself to take a time out every once in a while. And I don't do that for myself a lot. I'm everywhere, all over the place, because I always see all the different opportunity. And I'm one of those type of people say, hey, when I'm done, that's when I'll rest. But while I'm at it, I am full motion and I try to keep myself right. I train, work out, try to do the right things, go to bed early, focus, show up at the racetrack. And what I've learned over the last year is when I leave the shop in Brownsburg, Indiana, I go from owner to driver. I leave the ownership stuff behind and I put on my driver's hat and I do my driver duties and I'm coming to race hard.
Love it. No, that's the way you got to do it. Everybody's got their own way, but this is working for you and it's working pretty well. 75 wins. Antron, good luck this weekend. Thank you for spending time with us here on WFO Radio. Of those 75 wins, I don't know how many that we have interviewed you after. Not all of them, certainly, but a whole lot of them. And so thank you so much for always spending a little time with us. And obviously, good luck this weekend as we head to New England. And then Thunder Valley, you spent some time down there. Are they ready for this? Are they ready for us?
Yes, they are. And I went there and saw firsthand the track is smooth. I even drove some of the rental cars down the racetrack for the media fun race. And they did some work on that track, and it's a class facility. I love going there. So it was a pleasure for me to go down there and hang out with all the people down there. So it was a really, really good time. And I can't wait to get to Bristol because you know what? That's the only racetrack on tour I haven't won at yet. So that one there is definitely on my bucket list. So we're going to work hard and we're just going to go out there and race and have fun. But we're going to keep our head down and we're going to give it all we got. We're going to try to race all these races like they're countdown races now. So that's the game plan. So we're going to see what we can do. I love being on the air, speaking with you, Joe, and you got my man AR on the other side, Alan Reinhart, the voice of NHRA. Y'all two definitely elevate our sport, and I appreciate all the things that you guys do because you bring color to our sport without a doubt.
Thank you, Antron. Appreciate it. Thanks,
that. David. See you in a couple days.
See you in a couple days. Later. There he goes, Antron Brown, AB Motorsports, 75 wins in the NHRA, and a great guy too. Like great personality, great person. And breaking a little news right there about Bristol and Thunder Valley and just kind of putting some meat on the bone that they have, done some work to smooth the track, which, it was always one of the character tracks, Alan, the character. We always talk about it. They got a tunnel. Tunnels are always tough, but sounds like Antron says that they have improved some things.
Well, that's awesome. It's nice that they put in the effort and put in the dollars to do it, but all of the SMI tracks, Bruden was that way. Marcus is the same way. He wants his tracks to be absolutely at the top of the list for nicest facilities, whether it's for the racers, whether it's for the fan experience. And, it was becoming a problem. And I think that was, over the last few years, as you said, tunnels are tough. You're going to end up with some bumps and as tunnels expand and contract, and you're going to end up with some inconsistencies, but going in and doing what they needed to do to smooth the racetrack out is going to make for better competition, and that's going to make for a better show for the fans, and that's obviously what they're after.
Yes, exactly. So I was just scanning the entry lists for the Nitro ranks. The entry lists have 16 in Top Fuel and in Funny Car. So that's good for the fans at New England Dragway. The past few years, it's, geographic. It has to do with traffic. It has to do with cost, expense, post-pandemic, all of those things. Great to see. Hopefully it turns out that way because the entry list doesn't always indicate, someone may not show up, but a good field regardless at New England as we go up there to, could be the most devoted and devout drag racing fans in the country. They're definitely in the conversation because they always show up. It's almost always a sellout or near sellout. They walk the pits. If we happen to get weather in the past, they're still there. They are not the kind of people that stay home. They'd rather walk the pits and hang out. Always exciting to go up there and maybe get some chowder.
Well, I just hope Mother Nature is good to us this year. After last year where, we got kind of a run on Friday and kind of a run on Saturday, and then ended up basically moving the entire race down to Bristol for the completion. The fans kind of come out on the short end of things on a weekend like that. So I hope they give us good weather. And if Mother Nature gives us good weather, we'll put on a show. Those fans deserve to have a great show after what they had to deal with last year. And, nobody's fault, right? What are you going to do about weather? But I hope that we have a positive experience for them this year, because again, they certainly deserve it after sticking with us last year.
Yes, and the return of Pro Stock, kind of a big deal. Looks like we got 19 on the entry list. Pro Mod going to be there as well, and so for a little track that many people thought, can we even have the Mission Foods series there at one point, and they made it happen. They willed it. They figured out how to make it happen. You're going to have Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock, and Pro Modified. No Pro Stock motorcycle. They'll return in Thunder Valley. But that is an unbelievable drag racing show that we are bringing to New England Dragway.
Should be a good one. And again, like I said, just give us good weather. The northeastern part of the country has always been a hotbed for the Pro Stock machines. And when they weren't up there in New England, the fans really missed them. And, the fans let it be known. I heard about it in my NHRA announcer email, and I'm sure that NHRA got some feedback as well from the fans that go, hey, this class is important to us. We want to see it. And NHRA listens to the fans in situations like that. So bringing back Pro Stock and having the Pro Mods there is going to be a lot of door slammer action. Should be a fun weekend.
Yes. Let's dig a little deeper. I want to get you back on the road. So this is final question, and then I'm going to let you kind of, freestyle for a moment or two and then get back to your drive. But talked with Dallas a couple of weeks ago and been just hearing a lot of different angles and points of view of the intensity that is Pro Stock right now. Where's that coming from? Is it because we have two centers of the universe, two poles? You got Elite and you got KB, and it's just a clash between those two. We would love to see the McGahays get up and into it. Is it because they're, fighting it out for so many years? There was that, everybody's buddies and they're all together in the same, $1 million trailer park and all that different stuff. All of a sudden now it's the vibe, you're taking what's mine. You're taking, dollars out of my wallet, food out of my kids' mouths thing that used to happen back in the day between Warren and Bob Glidden, and they were racing for their supper. I don't know if that's exactly the reasoning, but I feel like we're kind of back to that. We're getting there.
Well, I think that, the level of competition has just gotten so high. And the last few years, Erica has been the one to go home with the big prize. And that's obviously what they're all after. Greg has been close, but hasn't been able to do it. And I think, I don't think it matters what type of contest you're in. I don't care if you're in, a bowling league or a beer softball league, or if you're racing at a professional level. If the same people are the ones that keep kicking in the tail every week, it gets old. And you want to start, doing whatever you got to do to get back after it. And I think that's where the intensity comes from. I think that, you look at last year, and Erica started off, she was struggling the first part of the season. There's no question about it. And, she came out and said it as many times herself, but then turned it around, came back, and still ended up winning the championship. And I think that, for the guys on the KB side of the fence, I think they really felt like last year they finally had gotten into, the upper hand position, that now this is our year. We're going to go, wipe the floor with those guys. And then it didn't happen that way. And so you come back out this year, Erica's running good to start the season. Dallas is running good. Greg's running good. And it just keeps up ramping up the intensity out there. And they're taking it seriously, and they should take it seriously. If I've said it 100 times, if nobody cares if you win or lose, then why do you even show up at the racetrack? And fans know it, and the fans are getting behind it. It doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on, as long as you're rooting for somebody, I'm good with that. And, we're starting to hear, a little bit of chirping, as we talked about when Dallas was on the show a couple of weeks ago, from both sides. And good. That gets the fans engaged, and that gets people's interest up, and that gets people to watch. And that's what we all want. We want the fans to watch. We want the fans to be interested in what's going on out there. And, and it's happening organically, right? I don't think there's anything, it's not like, well, it was manipulated by the media or manipulated. When the drivers get out of the cars and start talking, then that is organic. And then if the fans understand that this is for real, that this means a lot. And, I got to get behind my guy or get behind my gal and, root for them when they win and feel for them when they lose.
Absolutely. And, and don't embarrass yourselves by doing something stupid. And I'm talking about fans, not the racers. It's a good thing. It's interesting to see how it's all working out. I was on with the Life's a Drag guys last week, and they were talking about just the videos have been posted and taken down, and just all kinds of interesting different angles. The stuff that we've talked about Stevie Fast being really brilliant at over the last 5 years, how to use the social to get under the skin of the opponents, but not be the person who people think is a bad guy for doing it. We're getting a lot of that in the pro stock world right now. So it's going to be very interesting to see, and we don't have to wait long to see. All right. Final thought as you get ready to get back on the road to New England.
I'm just looking forward to it. If we have good weather this weekend, New England very close to sea level, should be a good performance track for the pro stock and the pro mod cars. And, we got 2 in a row now. Everybody had a weekend off for the holiday. We got to watch some other forms of racing, and that had plenty of drama in its own right. But, we got 2 weekends that we're getting after it right now, and I'm just looking forward to it. Like I said, give us good weather, and I'm on my way up there now. I would be closer, except for the first time in, 25 years. I left the hotel this morning, and I left my computer charger in the room. Got about an hour and a half down the road and realized it. And so I had to turn around, go back and get it. So I'm running behind right now.
Oh man. Yeah. Your computer charge. It's not like something you could just pick up at a Walgreens or something. Like it's designed specifically for your computer. That's terrible. Oh gosh. 3 hours behind. Whatever. You're not going to find trains this year, are you?
No, I found them. So, next thing on the bucket list, but I'm almost certainly going to go up to Bentley's and at least, have a cocktail and have a dinner up there one night. I'm not sure which night. I still got 3 days. So, it's a 6-hour drive if you take the direct route. I'm not taking the direct route. I'm taking kind of the back road route, so it's a 10-hour drive, and I got 3 days to do it. I like my chances of getting it.
You'll make it. All right. Safe travels, Alan. Thank you so much. We'll see you in New England.
Thanks, Joe. We'll talk soon.
There he goes, the voice of the NHRA. Alan Reinhart joins us each week right here on WFO Radio. If you like that conversation with Antron Brown and Alan Reinhart, you're going to like this show on a regular basis. So if you're watching on X right now, just follow the profile WFO Radio and then give us a repost so we can grow this audience. It's going pretty good, actually. And those of you on YouTube, WFO Radio TV on YouTube, subscribe and click the bell. You got to click the bell, otherwise you won't get the notifications. Many of you may have noticed I told you it was going to happen, but I wasn't sure exactly when it would happen, but it has happened. The WFO Radio app is no more. One of the first apps in all of drag racing and all of motorsports, frankly, WFO Radio. We were very early on, and I actually was on a podcast last week. It is in our feed. It's called The Last Word on Sports Media. And it is hosted by TJ Reeves, who, along with my friend and one of the original WFO insiders, Phil DeMont-Mullen, who worked at Homestead Miami Speedway, they invited me on for their pre-Memorial Day Greatest Day in Racing show and surprised me with all kinds of great, WFO origin story conversation, and the first Indy 500 with WFO Radio, where we showed up with the mobile application and an iPad and convinced everyone it was alien technology. Like, behold the iPad. And all these racers were like, oh my goodness, these guys, they must know what they're doing. They have technology that we don't have. It was just very funny and fun. That's in the feed if you want to go back and check it out. I did not make correct race predictions, but that's okay. Had a lot of fun doing it. Did a lot of pitching on the sport of NHRA drag racing. We are not in action on Memorial Day weekend. I do not think we should get into action at the national event level on Memorial Day weekend. I think the coverage window is already very, very very narrow. But what happened at Maple Grove at the local level, at the divisional level, I think is perfect. And everybody that I'm talking to said that they had a great time out there. And the divisional level racing in the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series, it's something that I really hope that we, those of us who are trying to grow and build the sport, whether you work for the NHRA or not, should invest in. Because those races, you're one-on-one with drag racers, you get a lot of cool cars, you got a lot of bang for your buck, and you're out at the track supporting a track as opposed to just sitting around at home. But I sat around at home, watched Ferrari win the Grand Prix of Monaco, watched an unbelievable pass by Joseph Newgarden that around the outside to win the Indy 500 move and win to 20th for Roger Penske. It's no different than watching two top fuel dragsters go down the racetrack and someone says like, yeah, look, they're going, like they're from here to there and they're going. To go around the outside at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is one of the like big guts moves in all of sports. That pass, one of the other drivers said it took giant things. And it was funny how he said things, but just a great Indy 500. It was a bummer that Kyle Larson couldn't make it over there. The Coke 600 shortened by rain, but drag racing gets back out there this weekend in New England. And I'm really hoping we can have a tremendous race weekend. All right, guys, put your comments in the comment section. Final comments in the comments section. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the people who make it possible for me to go WFO, starting with it.
Foggit is a high-performance fogging oil designed especially for internal combustion engines. Foggit can be used by everyone. If you have a lawnmower, a jet ski, a motorcycle, a tractor, a high-performance car, a classic car, racing vehicles, if it has a cylinder wall, it needs Foggit.
It really does. Foggit available at Summit, available at Amazon, and available at Foggit.com. Also want to tell you about our great friend Marvin Rodak. If you like coffee, hot sauces, spice rubs, barbecue, grills, tools, tips, information, Fort Worth, Texas area, you got to go by or call Rodak's Coffee and Grills.com, 817-924-6821. They'll ship anywhere, but if you're in the region, you definitely got to swing by. But if you are a supporter of WFO Radio and you want to really try something fantastic, something grand, call Marvin, 817-924-6821, and order some coffee. It is roasted fresh per your order, so you're going to get it. It's going to be the freshest coffee you have ever enjoyed because everything else has been roasted for a long time while it's sitting there in the store and vacuum packed and, the garbage Bonnie buys. Call Marvin, 817-924-6821, Rodak's Coffee and Grills.com. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, driving a dragster. You driving a dragster. The Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com. Makes a great gift. It's a great way to get the person in your life who doesn't quite understand your obsession with drag racing. You love drag racing. Why? They're just going from over here to over there. They're just going. It's like, it's like going from stoplight to stoplight. It's no big deal. How do you explain to someone, no, the car and the acceleration and the physics and the feeling? And how do you explain that? The Dragster Adventure. And then you multiply it by 1 million and you've got what Antron Brown is doing, which is insane. frankhawley.com. Tell them you heard about it on WFO Radio. And then we always like to think about the next generation of engine builders and machinists and the people who work with their hands, who make these cars go fast. And that's where samtech.edu comes in, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. We always say start your education at full speed, samtech.edu. Our merch was on sale this past week. I don't know if it's still on sale, but the Patreons know all about it. Patreon.com/WFO Radio. If you want to be an insider, VIP listener, support the show and get additional content. It's not like you just pay and get this. This is what you get, but you also get some extra. You get Monday Motivation. You get the Hear It From Heiner Pro Stock Show, which was very, very intriguing. Honestly, I don't think there should be anybody in Pro Stock, like a fan, who doesn't listen to the Hear It From Heiner show. Because number one, you're going to get all kinds of vehicle dynamics information. You're going to get the round by round, typically, unless they, it really goes south, then we want to move beyond it. But if things go well, you'll understand why the Get Biofuel Camaro did well, thanks to the Hear It From Heiner show. And most importantly, Heiner's hot takes. Heiner's got hot takes. He's a very, very knowledgeable. He's worked in NASCAR. He's a very knowledgeable Formula One fan. Knows all the rumors before they happen. And the hot takes. And, are there any hot takes on Pro Stock? And the thing is about it is it's also a secret. It's only for the Patreons. Patreon.com/WFO Radio. Quick look at some of our merch if you want to get on our WFO store. It is all like we're trying to get Project Pontiac back on the racetrack, guys. This is my own personal car. And I'm listening to Antron talk about it. And I'm thinking, I can't do it. Big money bracket racing. These guys, like what's happening out there, I can't do it. That's why I'm building the car for Super Street. Yes, I will run some big money bracket racers out there with Project Pontiac, and you can follow the hashtag Project Pontiac as we take our old bracket car from the 1990s and refurbish it and refab it with some real smart people. And we're going to go run NHRA Super Street at the divisional level. Things are coming together. Stennett Automotive and the folks at Total Seal and the folks at Edelbrock helping us out. So many good things going on. Wilson Manifolds helping out to get this thing on the track. Now, why won't I big money bracket race it? No, of course I will. But what a daunting task thinking about those. I can have an 8-pack. I can have better than that, right? And I can do it more than once. But can I do it over an 11-hour span? Like these guys are racing till like 2 a.m. and they start at like 1 p.m. and they finish at 3 a.m. And it's like, do I have the mental and physical stamina to be at the top of my game that long? And it's a real question. And I think that, if you haven't questioned your own abilities like that, like, man, that's amazing that you're so good. So good. I used to be able to just go perpetually forever and be at the highest level. Now, there are windows. And the window isn't quite as long as it once was. Talking about drag racing here, folks. And the idea that these big money bracket racers have got to be that good on the edge of their ability, their physical and mental stamina, thousandths from perfect for so long, to take home 50 grand or 100 grand or 200 grand or $1 million. That is amazing to me. It is really and genuinely amazing. It's not Joseph Newgarden going around the high side at Indy to win the Indy 500. Courageous, but in its own unique way, just as amazing. How do you maintain that level of just your own mentality? Have it be focused over such a long duration of time. Whereas the NHRA experience with Super Street, I feel much more confident about at least me being able to keep my mind in the game, I'm like, squirrel, what? What was that? Let's get some food. I'm kind of hungry. At least Super Street, you got like round 1 and 2, and then you take a little break, and then you got round 3 and 4, and you take a little break, and then you got rounds, 5 and 6, then it comes in these nice manageable samplings that you get out there and you have a bunch of first rounds. A lot of people might think that's harder, but at least when it comes to mental focus and intensity, you can do it. Maybe. Let's watch Antron Brown's final round win.
The tree flashes and they leave. Antron leaves first. Sean Langdon fishtails a race car and Antron Brown outruns him. 383.8 at 324 miles an hour. The team, the old masters, the guys that have been together for so many years, a moment of elation. Their last win, or first win since last year's U.S. National.
Amazing. Antron Brown, what a great guest. He's always been great on WFO Radio. We ask you to share the show, even into the remainder of this week. I don't know exactly what we'll be doing next week. Let's get your comments, or this week, the remainder of this week. I don't know what we're doing tomorrow exactly, but we will, we'll let you know. Dylan wants to know if I'll be at Fastlane Friday this weekend. I will not. That's great that we've got someone from Homestead Miami Speedway's Fastlane Friday Street Drags program on pit road. It is one of the greatest things that I get to do, and it's impossible to bring everybody to see it. But anybody who says like, oh, drag racing is dead and it's only for older people and, kids don't like drag racing anymore, this dispels all those rumors. Fastlane Friday. But Dylan, no, I will not. I will be in New England for the New England Nationals with the National Hot Rod Association, but you will be handled. I leave you in the capable hands of Carlos Picari. Carlos, who is announces at Homestead when I am not there. Carlos, who I should probably remind, he's got to go there this weekend right now, is going to be there, and you guys are going to have a great weekend. Hopefully, weather will be beautiful, and you will have a good time. Let's see. Parks, what's Parks got to say? I think the last time NHRA held a national on Memorial Day weekend was when Dallas had a spring and fall event. Definitely not a good weekend to try and gain any network viewers. Kansas, did they have something at Kansas? Reinhart would have known. I love drag racing as much as anybody. I spend a lot of time thinking about sports media and how and what it takes to grow. Sometimes it's smart to lay back, to lay off, to not be there, to not pick its charge into the teeth of the competition. You got the Indy 500, you got the Grand Prix of Monaco, you got the Coke 600. That encompasses all day long. Okay? You're going to add NHRA drag racing in there. If they announce it next year that we're doing it, I will happily be there and do my best to pull the rope and get us the biggest number we possibly can. But it would be more of a regional thing. It would be more of for the people in live attendance. There is so much auto racing competition on that. But, an argument can be made. Well, yeah, but all the auto racing fans are excited to watch something on TV. And yes, there's, unless you can, air it between the conclusion of the Indy 500 and the start of the Coke 600, they've got all these long pre-race shows, tributes to America, all that stuff. I think it's best for NHRA to stay off of that weekend. Yeah. And also I like to stay home that weekend. That's also part of it. In full transparency, guys, I'm not making up stuff here. I'm telling you the truth. Let's see. Thanks for keeping us in the know. Gutted for Pato. He showed true emotion, didn't put on a smile or sugarcoat it. No, but what's to sugarcoat? He just lost the Indy 500. He just lost it. I think that his blocking move down that backstretch killed his momentum and enabled like all that weaving. They call it the dragon. I'm sure there's something to be gained by not allowing your opponent to draft you, but perhaps at the expense of slowing your own car. And that appears to be what happened to me. He made a very aggressive blocking move, like came down, not like it's as if he was blocking. He was just trying to break the draft, but he got way down low and then had to come way up high. That's got to have an effect on your momentum. And coincidentally, like he didn't admit that. He didn't go on the air and say, oh, I slowed the car down by being too aggressive. He didn't say that, and I don't expect him to say that. And I wouldn't say that either. If it was me, I would just kind of keep that to myself and have the engineers point it out on the computer. But immediately afterward, Newgarden is right on him. Now, we saw that the second place car was the car to beat. And so with 4 laps to go, you start, all right, if you're leading here, then he's leading there, then you're leading here, then you're leading there. It's kind of like chess. In that, if this move, then that move, if this move, then that move. And I think Newgarden just played it better and also had a faster car. So, who knows? But Pato O'Ward dropped the F-bomb. You could see it coming too. What do we think about that? Remember when Dale Earnhardt Jr. won at Talladega and said the S word by like mistake? Just, S, daddy's got 6 or whatever it was. It was just like a reference, like a modifier, like no big deal. And NASCAR took away 25 championship points from Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the season that he was most likely, if we now go back, to win a championship. That the NASCAR, why would they do that? brain trust or officiating squad, you name it. You name it. You think about it. But that happened. They took 25 points away from their sport's most popular driver in the year. He was first in points after a win. They broke his momentum. They made the story about something so ridiculous that he said the S word in a post-race interview. You got Pato O'Ward dropped the F-bomb. F. Fudge. Like in Christmas Story. In 2024. And people are loving him for it. They're loving him for it. Like, yep. That's pretty much how I would feel. Now, will there be any consequence? I noticed that IndyCar has bleeped the clip that's out on social media, And, what do we think of that? Like, I don't know. Should they just let it fly? Just let it fly, right? Like, it's not good for kids to see that, but that big, aggressive beep over the top of what he's saying doesn't really help anybody. I don't know. I think it's a good topic of conversation for another day. Like, in a moment like that, is anybody concerned about the F-bomb? Luckily, F-bomb not on my station. I don't have an FCC report. I don't know what that means. You can say F-bomb on your station, or you can't say F-bomb. Look, I'm not for saying F-bomb in front of a bunch of kids. I don't say it on the air, but it's the training of many, many years. I think it's fun and funny to say it in every 5,000 other ways. I'm saying the same idea, just coming up with another way to say it. There's the comedy of it all. But in a moment like that, that's not comedic. That's the man's true, genuine emotions. So when he dropped the F-bomb, I was totally okay with it. Indy made his move too soon. Thanks, Joe, for having AB on. What a class guy. No, Antron Brown is one of my, I'm not unique when I say Antron Brown is one of my favorite people in all of drag racing. That does not make me unique. Ant Dog, repping WFO in 2 classes at a big BMX race on Saturday. You are going to be? Let us know. Send some pictures there, Ant Dog. Thoughts on the rumors about Stewart Haas Racing shutting down? How will it affect TSR? I got to tell you, I am behind the 8 ball on that story. I'm behind the 8 ball. We're going to have an ignition show this week because Monday was Memorial Day. We did not have an ignition show, but I am behind the 8 ball on that story. Shutting its doors, though, what does that mean? Like selling all their charters and pocketing, $100 million. Is that what we're talking about? And if we are talking about that, doesn't like the whole concept of those charters, there's something there. Once upon a time, and still currently in drag racing, you bought all the equipment like you're buying a new car, and then you drive it off the lot and it's worth considerably less. Is it worth half? That's what they say. It's worth half. If it's worth half, man, which is why I think I will never buy a new car. Like, I think as much as I love cars, I think I will never own a brand new car because of that. It's like, what? The second you move it from there to there, it is now a used car and it has, 60% of the value from 1 minute to the next. Wow. I don't know. I've always had slightly used automobiles. Even my Caddy, 4,000 miles, I got it. And I was like, yeah, this is for me. There are other people that disagree. When you buy the machines and everything you need to go NASCAR racing, right? Once upon a time, it was just a bunch of junk afterwards. Like maybe some second, third tier squad is going to come in and buy your stuff. And it was good at one time, but it's not cutting edge anymore. And so we're not going to give you very much. And it's really just a, bunch of stuff. Now with the charters, there's something of value, little franchise value, a little something that can appreciate due to your involvement. And I think that's the big battle right now. That's the topic of conversation. They got their big multi-billion-dollar deal going, and the teams, they want their portion of it. And so I don't know. I don't know all the details just yet. I'm going to dive in a little bit more and try to get to the bottom of it. Because I don't know Exactly. But I can also tell you this, like, Nagy says Tony Stewart is done with NASCAR. You don't have to be a genius to see that the name of the racing is what? Like, what's the team? It's Stewart and it's Haas. And what is Stewart doing? He's NHRA Drag Racing. And what's Haas doing? He's Formula One racing. Now, I love NASCAR, and a lot of people are really hard on NASCAR over the past couple of years, and they are very sad about, all the drivers that they loved are now gone for the most part. And you're served with this whole new squad of people that are unfamiliar. And do you really want to get familiar with them? Do you want to invest in a new NASCAR relationship with these new people? And a lot of people have said no. And they're angry at NASCAR for 100 reasons. Some of them are valid. Some of them are not valid. Some don't like the new car. Some like the new car. I can tell you the racing is amazing still. They don't like the stages. You talk to a NASCAR fan, they'll tell you why they don't like the sport anymore. I'll tell you this, the sport just signed what is it? 1.1 billion a year? Something like that. 7.7 billion over 7 years, some ludicrously large number. So they really don't need you. They really don't need you. They are figuring it out. They've got a giant source of revenue, and it will morph. It will change. If Tony wants to be a drag racer, if Gene wants to be a Formula One racer, but I don't think that's what's happening. I think they're trying to figure out a way for the teams to get a larger cut of the pie. And something with the charters are not permanent. Got to re-up your charter. What's that? And I got to say, at one time when I worked on NASCAR radio, every minute of my life was spent knowing and understanding the concepts and the business of NASCAR. That is no longer the case, right? I now focus on WFO radio and making it as fun and entertaining as it possibly can be. That is a challenge in and of itself. And NHRA Drag Racing, in particular, the Mission Foods and Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series, where there is a great video that was released today. Oh, yes, it comes back. Attention in the Pits on YouTube, on Twitter. You can go find it. A Mercury pickup truck that runs in Super Street out there at Route 66 Raceway. Did you know there was a Mercury pickup truck? I did not know there was a Mercury pickup truck. Turns out the folks in Canada, they don't have Ford pickup trucks. They have Mercury pickup trucks. Didn't know. And this gentleman took his old farm truck that he's had for 37 years, and he worked real hard on it, and he turned it into a super street truck. Of course, that's close to my wheelhouse because that's what Project Pontiac is trying to be, super street. And so go check out Attention in the Pits and share it, for gosh sakes. Let's get this guy out there with his amazing Mercury pickup truck. And he's brought his daughter to graduation in the race truck. What did the neighbors think of that one, right? Like, it had to be pretty crazy. I'm sure it was. But Attention in the Pits on NHRA's YouTube channel. You definitely want to check it out. When you say the F-bomb on a network, lots of paperwork to fill out, et cetera, and so on. But I'm just trying to understand that, because the Indy 500 wasn't broadcast on your network. I get it. There's got to be standards. I'm sure there's a lot of people that because of that moment had to work a lot. I agree with that, right? It's emotions. I'm all right with it, right? But, I don't want to get into that conversation. Like the law was broken. The law was broken. You're not allowed to drop the F-bomb on TV. And so is he going to get fined? Are they going to get fined? They're not going to get fined. Or maybe they will. Let it go. But it depends on how many letters you get. That's really the answer. How many letters did you get, Nicole? Like, I was watching with my grandson. And the good thing about it, though, was Pato, he telegraphed it. I am about to use the F word in 10, 9, 8. And he started the F. And it just kept on coming. Kept on coming. All right, guys. Appreciate all of you heading to New England. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a show tomorrow. No guarantees, though. We had Antron Brown today. It was spectacular. Maybe an ignition show in there. Maybe just get ready to head to New England and experience those amazing race fans out there. I really appreciate all of them. And I was on Life's a Drag last week. I don't know if you guys heard that. Jason Galvin was in rare form. Speaking of the F-bomb. Yeah. Who knew? All right, guys. Appreciate all of you. We'll see you next time. Thanks to Alan. Thanks to Antron. And thanks to each and every one of you. WFO.
Like this show? Want more? Then head to WatchPTTV.com, the new 100% free PowerTube TV streaming network. Home of the best classic and new motorsports racing and build shows on the web.